The story begins in the town of Grantham, Virginia, where the police are investigating a house. A gruesome murder had taken place there, in which an elderly couple and their servant were killed. But the surprising thing was that there were no signs of anyone forcibly entering the house from outside. On the contrary, it seemed as if the people inside the house were trying to escape from within. When the sheriff went down and looked, he found another dead body in the basement. It was the body of a young girl, completely naked and buried in the ground. Since her identity couldn't be determined, the sheriff named her Jane Doe. Meanwhile, at the city morgue, Tommy and his son Austin are finishing the post-mortem of a badly mutilated corpse. Just then, Austin's girlfriend Emma arrives, though she's a bit nervous. Austin gives her a quick tour of the morgue. While walking around, they reach the freezer where the dead bodies are stored. Curious, Emma insists on seeing a dead body, but Austin, afraid of his father's reaction, clearly refuses. At that moment, Tommy enters and gives them permission. Austin then takes out a dead body from the freezer and shows it to Emma. Emma asks Tommy about it, and he explains that in the old days, it was hard to tell whether someone was truly dead. So, bells were tied to their feet, so if there was any movement, the bell would ring. This makes Emma feel uncomfortable, so she decides to leave and go on a date with Austin. Just then, the sheriff enters the morgue with Jane Doe's body and tells Tommy that the autopsy must be completed tonight and the report ready by morning. Even so, Tommy tells Austin to go with Emma, but Austin chooses to stay and help his father. There, the sheriff, Tommy and Austin examine Jane Doe's body. Then the sheriff explains that so far, he hasn't been able to figure out the cause of death for any of the bodies found in that house. He cannot say who Jane Doe is or how she died, because neither her ID nor her fingerprints were found in any system. The most shocking thing is that there were no visible injury marks on her body. Saying this, the sheriff leaves. Tommy and Austin begin the autopsy. With that, they get to work. Tommy estimates Jane's age to be between 26 and 29 years. He finds no signs of bleeding or visible injuries on her body. Austin, meanwhile, starts taking pictures of Jane from every angle. When Tommy opens Jane's eyes to examine them, he finds something surprising. Her eyes have turned completely white. According to Tommy, this usually happens when someone has been dead for many days. But Jane's body still looked fresh, which suggested she had died recently. However, her body temperature was colder than normal, which again indicated that she had been dead for several days. All of this was very confusing. Austin also noticed that Jane's waist was unusually thin, which didn't match the rest of her body. Tommy guessed that maybe she was born that way. Meanwhile, Tommy discovered that both of Jane's wrists and ankles were completely broken, but there were no signs of external injuries. When Tommy checked her nails, he found a mud-like substance inside them. Upon examining it, they discovered it was actually peat soil. Along with the peat found under Jane's fingernails and toenails, there was also some in her hair. It looked as if someone had buried Jane completely in the ground. Tommy continued his investigation. Austin also observed that there were no injury marks on Jane's face, ears, or nose. But when he opened her mouth, he saw that Jane's tongue had been cut off. Both of them were shocked. The cut looked brutal, as if someone had ripped her tongue out. Tommy said that this could possibly be a case of human trafficking. During this, when Austin tried to take a picture of Jane's face, he suddenly saw Jane's nose twitch, and blood started gushing out. The next moment, a fly flew out of her nose. Both of them were stunned. Tommy then noticed that one of Jane's teeth was missing. He also found a thread inside her mouth, which they kept safely for further examination. After that, when Tommy examined Jane's private area, he found many wound marks inside. However, they couldn't come to any conclusion from this alone. After finishing the external examination, Tommy and Austin took out a knife to begin examining her internal organs. Tommy made an incision from Jane's chest to her stomach. As soon as he did, blood began flowing out of her body, as if she were alive. This shook both of them. Tommy looked closely at Jane's waist and said that it wasn't naturally thin. Austin asked, "Then what could be the reason for her narrow waist?" Tommy replied that such changes happen when someone wears a corset dress for a very long time. Austin responded, "But corset dresses were fashionable hundreds of years ago." Later, when Tommy cut through Jane's rib bones and examined her internal organs, he saw that her lungs were severely damaged. Austin guessed that it might have been due to heavy smoking, but Tommy disagreed. He said even if someone smoked 10 packs of cigarettes a day for 30 years, their lungs wouldn't be this damaged. This kind of damage happens only when someone is burned badly, but Jane's body showed no signs of burning. This deeply puzzled Tommy. Then, when Tommy removed Jane's heart and examined it, he saw clear knife marks on it. Not just on the heart. There were similar cuts on her other internal organs too. But how could someone cause such injuries without making any cuts on the outside of her body? They were still thinking about this when the room lights suddenly started flickering, and a strange sound came from outside. Hearing it, Austin followed the noise. He saw a mirror in the corridor and, in its reflection, spotted someone standing at the corner of the hallway. He quickly went to the spot, but there was no one there. Meanwhile, Tommy discovered a piece of fiber in Jane's intestines. As he tried to cut the intestine to remove it, one of Jane's rib bones pierced his hand and injured him. Back in the corridor, Austin realized that the sound he had been following was coming from the ventilation shaft in the storeroom. When Austin looks inside the ventilation, something suddenly falls on him with a loud thud. Startled, Austin falls to the ground in fear. Meanwhile, Tommy also arrives there after hearing the noise. Seeing his father, Austin gains a little courage. He shines a torch into the ventilation and discovers that it's their cat, badly injured. The cat's intestines were missing. Seeing this, both Tommy and Austin become very emotional. Unable to see his pet suffering, Tommy ends its pain by twisting its neck. Afterwards, he gives his cat a respectful farewell by cremating it in the crematorium. Then they continue their autopsy. When they cut open Jane's intestines, they find a flower inside. Tommy investigates and finds out that the flower is called Jimson weed. Eating this flower causes paralysis, and it's found only in northern countries. After learning this, they prepare to continue their work, but suddenly the weather turns worse, and they hear loud thunder. Just then, the radio announces that heavy rain is now falling in their city. Austin is shocked because before starting the autopsy, the same radio had said that the weather would remain clear for the next few days. Now Austin starts sensing that something is wrong. He tells Tommy that they should stop working for the night. But Tommy reminds him that the sheriff had strictly ordered him to find out the cause of Jane's death by tonight, so he couldn't stop now. However, he tells Austin that if he wants to leave, he's free to go. But Austin refuses to leave his father alone, and he decides to stay. While continuing the examination, Tommy finds a human tooth wrapped in a piece of cloth inside Jane's intestines. The cloth has a strange symbol drawn on it, along with some Roman numbers. What's more surprising is that the cloth looks completely unaffected. Even after staying inside the intestines, it hasn't been digested by stomach acid. The drawing on the cloth seems to be linked to some kind of religious ritual. While investigating this further, Austin compares the thread found earlier in Jane's mouth with the cloth, and finds they match. The thread was a part of that same cloth. After this, Austin fits the tooth found inside the cloth into the empty space in Jane's mouth, and it fits perfectly. This confirms that someone had pulled out her tooth, wrapped it in that strange cloth, and forced her to swallow it. Based on all the evidence, Austin now believes that Jane was sacrificed in some sort of religious ritual. First, she was tied up, then her tongue was cruelly cut out. After that, she was fed the Jimson weed flower to paralyze her. Then her tooth was pulled out, wrapped in the ritual cloth, and forced into her stomach. After that, she was stabbed with a knife again and again. When even that wasn't enough, they tried to burn her. The sheer pain of such a death deeply disturbs both Tommy and Austin. But Jane's flawless body still didn't match their findings. How could she have suffered so much torture, yet have no external wounds? This question left them both stunned. Just then, the radio suddenly starts again. It announces that the rain in their city has gotten worse. But the next moment, the radio signal becomes distorted, and they hear a strange message through the interference. The reporter's voice says, "You wouldn't want to get trapped in this stormy flood, but if you are trapped, you won't be able to get out of it." Hearing this, Austin becomes more convinced that the radio is giving them a warning about some coming danger. Austin pleads with Tommy to leave the morgue right away, but Tommy ignores him and asks for help in skinning Jane. Austin, though hesitant, agrees to help his father. When they finally remove Jane's skin completely, they are horrified. The inner side of her skin has the same symbols and Roman numbers that were on the cloth found inside her body. Their hearts skipped a beat. Before they can react further, all the lights in the room suddenly go out, plunging them into complete darkness. Terrified, Austin switches on his torch and looks around. He is shocked to see that all the corpses in the room have disappeared. Fear takes over him and he quickly grabs Tommy, trying to get out of the morgue. But the elevator won't work due to the power outage, so they rush to the storeroom and try to leave through the main door. But just then, a tree crashes down on the door because of the storm, blocking their way out. Tommy and Austin try with all their strength to open the door, but fail. Desperate, they try to call the sheriff for help, but their phones have no signal. Now both of them start heading towards the landline phone in their office. But then they hear the sound of someone's footsteps approaching from the corridor. Hearing this, both of them run and enter the office, quickly locking the door from inside. Tommy immediately picks up the landline and tries to call the sheriff. The sheriff answers the call, but unfortunately, due to a weak signal, they are unable to speak properly, and the call gets cut off. Now both Tommy and Austin are trapped inside. As they try to think of another way to escape, their hearts suddenly skip a beat when they hear a bell ringing. This bell indicated that a dead body, whose feet had bells tied to them, was approaching their door. The sound comes closer and closer until the corpse reaches just outside the door. Austin senses its presence and cautiously looks through the gap under the door. What he sees terrifies him. He sees the feet of the corpse. The next moment, the corpse begins banging loudly on the door, trying to open it. Panicking, Austin and Tommy push a heavy cupboard in front of the door to block it. After a moment of fear and chaos, the corpse suddenly stops banging. Now Austin is fully convinced that Jane is behind all of this, because everything was normal before they brought her here. But the more they dissected her body, the more terrible things became. Still, Tommy finds it hard to believe. Just then, Tommy notices that blood is oozing from the wound on his wrist. He goes into the bathroom to clean it, but suddenly, he sees movement behind the curtain. Startled, Tommy walks towards it. Meanwhile, Austin, who is sitting outside, sees a shadow behind the curtain. Before he can warn Tommy, Tommy pulls the curtain aside. To their surprise, there's no one behind it, but the very next moment, something invisible attacks Tommy, and the bathroom door slams shut on its own. Whatever it is begins to hit and hurt Tommy badly. Austin breaks the door and rushes inside. He finds Tommy lying on the floor, crying in pain. Austin picks up his father and starts treating his injuries. After this incident, Tommy is also convinced now that Jane is behind everything. So they return to the autopsy room, determined to destroy her body. But to their shock, all the organs they had removed from Jane are now rotten. Yet Jane's body remains fresh and untouched. It seems as though her body was somehow protecting her internal organs. They decide to take Jane's body to the crematorium and burn it. As they prepare to move her, the door of the room suddenly locks by itself. Austin grabs an axe and makes a hole in the door to open it. But when he looks through the hole, a corpse appears and stands right in front of it. Both of them are terrified. Refusing to give up, Austin pours fuel over Jane's body and sets it on fire. But instead of her body burning, everything around it starts catching fire. Except Jane. Their cameras and all the research they had collected burned to ashes. Seeing this, Tommy quickly puts out the fire. Shockingly, there isn't even a single burn mark on Jane's body. Just then, the electricity goes out again. But suddenly they hear the lift starting. Grabbing the axe, they run toward the lift to save themselves. But before they can reach it, the lift doors shut, and it goes up. At the same moment, they see a corpse approaching them. In panic, Austin repeatedly presses the lift button, trying to call it back. The corpse gets closer and closer. Their hearts are pounding with fear. Finally, they hear the lift returning. As soon as it arrives, Austin quickly opens the door, and both of them jump inside. But their troubles aren't over. Just before the lift can move, the power goes out again. The doors open halfway, and the corpse stands just outside. As it begins to enter, Tommy, holding the axe, bravely swings it toward the figure. But then, instead of the sound of a corpse, they hear a familiar scream. When Austin steps out to see what happened, he's horrified to discover that it wasn't a dead body. It was his girlfriend, Emma. She had come to meet him because he had asked her to come that night. Seeing Emma dying in agony, Austin breaks down into tears. He is devastated, realizing that she died because of him. Austin and Tommy now realize that Jane is creating hallucinations in their minds using her powers, which is why they mistakenly killed Emma, thinking she was a corpse. After facing all this horror, both of them return to the lift and sit down. Then a question arises in Austin's mind. He asks Tommy, if she had the power to kill us from the beginning, then why did she keep us alive until now? Austin then remembers something else. He tells Tommy that before they even started examining her, she had tried to give them indirect warnings through the radio many times. Maybe there was something she didn't want them to find out. So, Tommy and Austin decide to go back to the autopsy room and complete their work. Maybe they will discover something that can save their lives. They get out of the lift and start heading toward the autopsy room. But suddenly Jane ignites the crematorium furnace, filling the entire basement with smoke. As Tommy and Austin push forward through the thick smoke, the dead bodies suddenly attack Tommy, badly injuring him before vanishing again. Austin somehow drags Tommy back to the autopsy room and securely locks the door. Now, only Jane's brain remains to be examined. Austin immediately cuts open Jane's skull and inspects her brain. He discovers that, just like the other organs, her brain is completely intact. There's no sign of injury. When Austin examines a piece of her brain under the microscope, he's shocked to find that Jane's brain cells are still fully active. There's only one possible meaning. Jane is still alive. That means everything they've done to her so far, she's been feeling all of it. This realization breaks them emotionally, but they're still haunted by one question. How is she alive even after all her body parts were removed? Tommy begins to believe that some kind of invisible force is keeping Jane alive. Meanwhile, Austin accidentally unfolds a cloth they had found inside Jane's intestines. As he unfolds it, Roman numerals appear and combine to form a word, Leviticus 20. Seeing this, Tommy quickly takes out a Bible and opens it to the chapter of Leviticus. Austin also notices that a year is written on the cloth, 1693. At the same time, Tommy reads chapter 20 of Leviticus, which says, "If a man or woman becomes a medium or spiritist, they must be put to death. They are to be stoned. Their blood will be on their own heads." Hearing this, Austin tells his father that 1693 was the time in England and America when many young women were burned alive after being accused of witchcraft. This dark history is known as the Salem witch trials. Putting the pieces together, they reach a chilling conclusion. Jane must have been one of the women killed during the Salem witch trials in 1693. But Tommy believes that most of the women accused back then weren't witches at all. They were just mentally ill or misunderstood, victims of superstition. However, after everything that has happened, even Tommy can't deny the supernatural events they've witnessed. A new thought occurs to Tommy. He says maybe Jane wasn't a witch like the others, but people thought she was, and they might have performed cruel and painful rituals on her. The effects of those rituals may have backfired, turning an innocent girl into an actual witch. Austin then asks, "Why is Jane after us?" Tommy replies, "Because everything we did to her, she felt it, and now she wants us to feel the same pain she suffered. That's why she kept us alive until now." Tommy shows Austin his wound. Around it, marks identical to the ones on Jane's body are now appearing. Just then, a dead body outside their door starts banging and trying to break in. Austin runs to stop it, but Tommy has accepted that stopping Jane is impossible, so he speaks directly to her. He tells Jane, "You can give me all the pain you want, but let my son go." Suddenly everything becomes silent. But then, Jane begins transferring all her pain to Tommy. His wrists and ankles break just like Jane's. His eyes turn white. With every bit of pain Tommy endures, Jane's body starts healing. Her broken bones join back together, her cut skin regenerates. But Austin can't bear to see his father suffer like this, so he stabs Tommy to end his pain. Because of Tommy's death, Jane isn't able to fully recover, but now everything returns to normal. The dead bodies also return to their original places. Just then, Austin hears the sheriff's voice. He goes to the door, but it's still locked. He begs the sheriff for help, but instead of responding, the sheriff starts singing the song, "Open up your heart and let the sun shine in." At that moment, Austin realizes this is not the real sheriff. It's another illusion created by Jane. Austin had unknowingly stopped Jane's recovery by killing Tommy, which made her furious. Then he hears the sound of bells tied to a corpse's feet. He looks down the hallway, but when he turns back around, the dead body of Tommy appears right in front of him. Shocked, Austin falls down the stairs and dies from a head injury. The next morning, the real sheriff arrives at the morgue with the police. They discover the dead bodies of Tommy, Austin, and Emma. But just like the previous deaths, these two remain a mystery. The sheriff suspects something strange about Jane's body, so he orders it to be sent to the Virginia Police Department for further investigation. In the final scene, we see a policeman transporting Jane's body to Virginia. Suddenly, the radio in the car starts playing the same eerie song, "Open up your heart and let the sunshine in." At that exact moment, Jane's thumb moves slightly, and with that, the movie ends. Friends, if you liked this video and got completely immersed in the story, please consider subscribing to support us so we can bring more such videos to you. Thanks for watching.